Hi, my name is Chuck Coverly. In this segment, we are going to discuss the daily operations of a substitute teacher. We will also discuss daily procedures and routines, basic classroom management techniques, setting expectations, and the top 12 principles for substitute teachers, or what I like to call the do's and don'ts of being an effective teacher. Let's talk about the daily operational procedures and routines. When entering the school, the first thing you should do is find the main office and greet the secretary in the main office with a smile. After doing that, you will locate the Veritime computer and sign in using your ID badge that you've been given. If for some reason you do not have your ID badge, you will be able to sign in on the Veritime computer using the same ID and PIN number you've been given to sign in for SAMs. Check the teacher's mailbox for any lesson plans that may have been left for you or any instructions. Also, check to see if there are any passes for some of the students that might need to go to specials. When you get to the classroom, write your name on the board and always use your last name. Do not use your first name. Write Mr., Ms., Miss, Mrs., Doctor, whatever you're comfortable with, but do not use your first name. Also, put the date on there and any expectations of the students. Write the assignment or the assignments on the board so that students will know what they will be doing that day. It is important for the students to know what is to be expected of them. You should also look around the classroom and see if the teacher has posted their rules or procedures and routines on the wall as well. You should review these rules with the students so that you are all on the same page together. It is very important that one of the first things you do in the classroom is take attendance. It is very important to know who the students are that you are working with as you are responsible for them throughout the day. Now let's discuss some basic classroom management techniques. When we discuss classroom management, you're going to notice I'm not going to say control or classroom control. If a student in your class has ADHD, let's just say, and is unable to sit still for a while and needs to get up and walk around, you cannot control that behavior, but you can manage it. That's why we say classroom management. I'm going to start off by giving away the secret to classroom management, or my two biggest pieces of classroom management. The first is learn the kids' names. It is very important that you learn the kids' names. Cannot overstate the importance. One of the things that learning the names does is it establishes a relationship and respect with the students. It also lets the kids know that you know who they are, and some of the kids that would maybe want to be, and we're not going to say bad, you don't say bad, we're going to say maybe difficult or challenging students. We have to let them know that we know who they are. That helps very much in classroom management. The other piece of classroom management that we're going to talk about is moving around the classroom, not sitting still. Do not bring a book to read or a magazine or a crossword puzzle to do. You need to be up and walking around the classroom. The kids need to know that they are being supervised, and when the kids know that they're being supervised, they will act accordingly. Another reason why you want to walk around the classroom is because where are the, we're not going to say bad, where are the challenging kids going to sit? Almost always, if they know they're going to be having a sub that day, they're going to sit in the back of the classroom. So where should you spend most of your time? You got it, in the back of the classroom. All right, let's take a minute to talk about the end of the day procedures. It is very important that you end the day on a positive note. Dismiss the students in accordance to the school's procedures, and it may be necessary sometimes when you are dismissing the kids to allow some of the kids to leave early if they have a pass. But it is not up to you to determine whether it is okay to let a child leave early. Check the classroom environment to ensure that it is clean and organized before you leave for the day. I used to hate it when I was teaching and I would come back the next day and my classroom was completely in disarray. I would not ask for that sub to come back the next time. One of the last things you're going to do for the day is sign out in the main office. You're going to use your ID badge to sign out. Again, if you do not have your ID badge, you can sign out using the same ID and PIN number you use to access SAMs. All right, we are now going to discuss the top 12 principles for substitute teachers, or as I like to call them, the do's and don'ts of being an effective substitute teacher. And these rules must be followed. Starting with number 1, at no time should you have any physical contact with a student regardless of age. In short, there should be no touching of students by substitutes. Sometimes the younger children will want to come up and show their affection by hugging. It is your responsibility to redirect that by not touching the students, but maybe giving them a verbal cue, say thank you, and show appreciation, but do not touch the students in return, and then redirect them back to what they should be doing. When dealing with kids with special needs, it may be included in their IEP that some physical contact may be necessary, but we want to limit the physical contact to a minimum. If you do accept an assignment that requires toileting, you might want to leave the door open but provide as much privacy for that student as possible. If you're able to, have an aide be present as well, or another professional in the school. The goal is to keep the students safe with as minimal physical contact as possible. A good rule of thumb to follow is to stay an arm's length away from the students. Number 2, avoid confrontations with students in front of their peers. Attempt to handle the issue individually one-on-one. If you're not successful with a disruptive student, the student should be referred to the school administrator. Don't verbally confront a student in front of the entire class. If possible, isolate the student and speak to him or her in a calm tone of voice. Always address the specific behavior and explain the consequences of their actions. Number 3, dealing with fighting in the classroom and the school. Our first priority is always the safety and welfare of the students. As a substitute, you must ensure that there is always a safe environment for students to learn. Attempt to diffuse the situation before it becomes physical. You should definitely try to be proactive rather than wait for something to happen that you would then have to be reactive to. Walking around and listening to the tone of the classroom would be very effective. Remember, if a fight does break out in your presence, it is your responsibility to stop the fight without becoming physically involved. The use of the word stop repeatedly may be effective. It is extremely important for you to use your teacher's voice and say stop or create a diversion until another regular teacher or administrator can arrive to handle the situation. At no time should you attempt to physically separate the students once they have engaged in fighting. After everything is over, it is your responsibility to prepare a written, detailed report of your observations and report that to the school administrator and to our Human Resources Department. Number 4, adhere to the regular teacher's lesson plans. In all schools, teachers are required to leave a daily lesson plan and/or sub-pack for the substitute teacher. Check with the school's secretary when you sign in to see if they were left in the main office. You might also want to check the classroom, check the desk, or check around the teacher's desk for any sub-plans that may have been left for you. Some schools may have their teachers put lesson plans on the SAM system, and they can be retrieved ahead of time and reviewed. Check with your individual school to see if they follow this procedure. Number 5, remember you are the teacher and not the friend or peer of the student. Remember, it is your responsibility to be the authority figure in the classroom. Don't undermine your own authority by trying to be friends or peers of the students. Use your last name only in the classroom. Do not use your first name, Mr., Ms., Miss, Doctor, whatever you prefer, but never your first name. And never contact students outside of the classroom using social media. If you're on Facebook, limit your use of Facebook. Change your name. Use an alias. Sometimes the kids, if they know who you are, will try to contact you through Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, or other social media. It is your responsibility to be the adults and not establish that contact. Number 6, maintain accurate daily attendance for all students. Remember that you are responsible for all students assigned to you at all times for that day. Attendance should be recorded first thing in the morning and throughout the day whenever the students leave the classroom for lunch, gym, recess, or any other reason they may need to leave the classroom. Attendance is always recorded during fire drill evacuation procedures. When you go outside for the fire drill, you take attendance when you get outside. When you get back in the building, you're taking attendance again. It doesn't hurt taking attendance many times during the day. It also will help you learn the kids' names. Number 7, the substitute should never leave the classroom unattended at any time. If an emergency arises, contact the main office for assistance to provide another teacher to cover the class before you leave. The key here is that we have supervision at all times. You can ask another teacher to cover your class, but that teacher must be a certified teacher to cover the class or certified substitute teacher. You cannot leave a class alone with a room mom, volunteer, student teacher, or an aide in the classroom. Number 8, never transport students in your personal automobile. If a student misses his or her bus or their ride home, report this to the school's administrator. Never use your vehicle for school district business. Number 9, be aware of the school's and classrooms policy on students eating snacks, any food, and drinking beverages in the classroom. Specifically, some elementary schools may permit students to eat snacks during break periods. Also, schools may permit students to have water bottles, especially during the warmer months. Check the school's student manuals. All the rules regarding the students and what they need to follow are listed in the student manual. This is good information for you to know. Also, check the teacher's notes for information about students that may have food allergies. Report medical issues to the nurse or the medical professional at the school. Number 10, never administer or provide students with any type of medication, including aspirin, cough drops, or any other over-the-counter medications. Students who require specific medications should see the school nurse or medical professional at the school. Number 11, validate the students' responses to your questions. Compliment the students, even if they're only partially correct. This strategy helps to promote a positive classroom environment. And number 12, minimize the use of personal pronouns when addressing the students. Learn their names. No one wants to be called you, or he, or she, or him, or her. Try using their first names. Again, this establishes a relationship with the students and helps to build mutual respect. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to consider the information that has been presented to you. The do's and don'ts are very important for you to follow and will help you in your future endeavors. If an emergency arises, contact the main office for assistance.